April 1st, or is it? April Fool's joke. Um, and we are on the very start or the very first day of the new month, so we definitely want to be taking a peek at this monthly chart and seeing what we can assume is going to play out, right? Or first, how did we end, right? We ended up as a +4 monthly. So we definitely want to be monitoring the previous month's close as an area where if the market starts to close below that level, there could be some increased risk to the downside. That level being 5308 half, the previous month's close. It looks like right now we are trading above it, trading up at 14. So it's probably not a bad level to replace with. Put this alert at that level, and should we get below that level, right, we want to be kind of just cautious of possible increased short covering or increased liquidation, right? Because if you figure momentum traders piling in, market closes all the way up here, starts to close below this level, then some increased risk to the downside. So you just got to be aware of that level. If you're above that level, you should be good. If you're below, you just got to be a little bit careful. On the weekly, you can see that we are continuing to move higher. Last week was an inside week. We're trading at 14 right now. Last week's high was 21, so we're still inside that week as well. So a little bit of coiling going on here. Definitely want to be watching these levels from the previous week, as the previous week was very narrow. Like I said, high 53.21, low 52.63. So two kind of key levels that you want to be paying attention to. Should we get below them or above them, there will be some possible movement. And then to the downside, right? If you are monitoring this trend, we pretty much have been one time framing up higher. We've gotten two times where we've traded right to the previous week's low and then bounced higher. So this is probably the best odds we've had in a while of there being a cessation of one time framing. So should we start to get this poor look or weak look up here at the previous week's high, there might be some decent odds to fade the market, even if the market is up higher. So just something to think about. Then on the daily here, we can see still one time framing up. Like I said, cash sessions and we open up at about 14, so we're going to open up in the higher range from Friday. One time framing higher here, but a high odds of a cessation of one time framing, right, with the low being 5302, and we're only trading 10 points away from that. So possible change happening. We just want to be aware of that for sure. Switching over to the profiles here, you can see a little review of Friday's session. Pretty much a P shape, kind of bled down, built a little 45-degree angle, stopped some shorts out, put a poor high, liquidated all the way down, and then left a little bit of excess on the low here, settled at 5308 half. So that'll be our key level going into today, right? We can see Globex or overnight inventory is 100% net long. And, with that, really, that's pretty much the go no go zone today is that 5308. Should we get below that level, there's decent odds of testing this low, and then that would basically bring us back to last week's +4 close, which is kind of, and it's also like T2 high, so some decent references there. So let's go ahead and say if we get this bounce here, then we'll probably just trade back up to like right here. It's going to be tough inside here. I think it's going to be kind of a chop zone, basically all of this area, just because there's going to be people that are finally offsides, and they're going to want to try to hold them. The odds are not great that we keep that overnight high as the all-time high, but it doesn't necessarily say that it has to be tested today. So we don't want to just kind of assume that it's just going to get broken, but we also want to remain smart, and we understand we still like the long up here, but as it gets up into here, it's probably going to get choppy. So if it doesn't just keep going, might want to go ahead and close it, because then there's decent odds of retesting the settle, and that's something that we really don't want to be a part of. Sit in a trade all day and just have it go break even, that would just be a really decent waste of time. Now, should we get a break of this settle? And really, you're looking for a break of the low, then that would give you that pushback towards kind of these two targets, one being the T2 high and then one being the previous +4 week. So those will be the levels that I'm watching out for today. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it. If they break that 52.93, then probably the 84, and that's going to be kind of the key point here. Closes below it. It's kind of like what I would say is the middle of the rope, right? So like we're playing this game of tug of war. This is kind of the middle of the rope. So right, and if and it's an interesting rope or interesting game, because you think pull down, sellers are in charge, but when you kind of pull the knot down, that means buyers are in charge, right? Because they've moved it higher. So if it comes uh, if it comes down here and bounces, and that would mean it would bounce above the previous 4 week high, and then probably this '08 level as well, then we can kind of assume that people rebought. But if it comes down here and closes, and actually you're looking for it to break that 42.70, that's kind of the key for these sellers to really kind of show they're about that life. That previous poor low, that would bring us down like into these 52.50 areas. But like I said, like until then, failure here, failure at the high, and this is something that people kind of forget about, but failure at the high doesn't necessarily mean that the movement up is over. A lot of times, and we've been seeing it on the COT chart, is a lot of times it just moves back to the COT POC, reestablishes, and then moves higher. But other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. Make sure you're managing risk and sticking to your trade plan, and I will see you guys tomorrow.